Hi, this is Mr. Asserson again. Of course, it's me. We are going to talk about sensation perception today. This is going to be part three of the sensation perception videos. Before I said that there was a total of three, but actually there's going to be a total of four parts. So in part one and part two, I said there were a total of three parts. That's not true. I've added a part. There's going to be four parts. So this is part three. What are we going to talk about in part three? Here it is. We're going to talk about theories of the senses and how experience and culture influence perception. So let's get started. What are the various theories about the senses? Well, the first couple of theories are going to be about how we detect sensory information. Very faint sounds, very faint sights, very faint tastes. How do we detect those? And the first idea is called the absolute threshold. So the idea is that there's some level, some low level of sound. And once we get to that level, we start to hear things. So that threshold is when you cross over that point, you now hear the sound. It could be the same thing for light. If you're in a pitch black room, how much light do you need to see the light? Once you get to that point, then you start seeing it. That's the threshold. And they're defining that as the minimum stimulation needed to detect a particular stimulus 50% of the time. So there's another theory that contrasts with that, which is the signal detection theory. This says there isn't an absolute threshold, but when you notice a stimuli depends upon your motivation and attention. So a good example of this would be like a soldier who's on duty in an active combat zone. They're on night watch. They're going to see and hear a lot more than if you're just at your home casually on a Friday night, just hanging out with your family or your friends. So this is signal detection theory. There is no absolute threshold. It depends on motivation and attention. Okay, we also have some theories about eyesight, and one of them was an idea that a guy named Young and his friend Helmholtz came up with. So it's the Young-Helmholtz trichromatic theory. And this is that in the eye there are three types of cones, some that detect red, some that detect blue, and some that detect green. So those are three types of color detectors. Now that's an old theory, so we pretty much know that that's true now. That's not really a theory anymore. The other theory has to do with an image, and I want to do a quick demonstration. I'm going to pull up an image. I want you to pause the video and stare at it for 30 seconds, and then play the video again. Okay, stare at this for 30 seconds. All right, now check out this white screen, and what color flag do you see? You probably see the British flag, which is red, blue, and white. And that's because of the opponent process theory. The opponent process theory says that there are cone photoreceptors that are linked together that form three opposing color groups: blue and yellow, red and green, and black and white. So when those are stimulated, the other set is inhibited, and that's why you get this after image that it's the opposite colors, because they're linked together as a pair. One side gets worn out, and then you see the after image. Okay, we also have a theory about pain. The theory about pain is called the gate control theory. And this theory says that we have some neurological gates that can block pain or allow it to come through. And these are in the spinal cord. And so I think you notice sometimes if you get really hurt, like I broke my arm once, after a little while though, it kind of stopped hurting. So the gate control theory would explain it that the gate is closed and the pain signals are being blocked. Okay, what about perceptual process being influenced by culture and experience? This happens a few ways. One could be top-down processing. We talked about this before. Recap the definition. It's when higher level mental processes affect what you perceive. So we're drawing on our experiences and expectations. So most policemen, the vast majority, are doing a great job. There are a very small amount that might be racist. And so if you had a racist police officer and they were interpreting some behavior of some potential criminal, and it's nighttime and it's dark, and that potential criminal is maybe holding something in their hand, that police officer, because of top-down processing, might perceive that item to be a gun or some sort of weapon, because their racism is influencing their perception. I don't think that happens a lot. I'm just saying that might, very small, very, very small chance that that might happen. Another thing would be called perceptual set. And if you stare at this image for a second, what do you notice? Do you notice a young woman or an old woman? Well, perceptual set is a predisposition to perceive one thing and not another. And so whether you see the older woman or young woman is influenced by your experience, i.e. the people you see regularly. So that is perceptual set. Another thing is called context effects. When environmental factors influence your perception of a stimulus, there's been some research that people who are shopping, if they're standing on a nice, soft, comfortable floor, they will like the products they're looking at more. And I think you notice this also if you think about yourself. If there's like harsh music or if there's harsh lighting, that can affect how you perceive something and make you perceive it in an unfavorable way. Another way that our perceptions are influenced is something called a schema. We haven't really talked about this yet, but we'll talk about it more later. A schema is a concept that organizes categories of information. So for instance, a toddler will learn the schema for dog, and they will learn that it's something with 4 legs and furry. And let's say they haven't seen a cat or anything else that has fur and 4 legs. They just think of a dog as 4 legs and furry. Well, the first time they see a cat, they will call it a dog, right? Because it fits their schema. So the perception of that cat is influenced by the way they're already organizing information in their brain. Okay, there are also a few optical illusions that are mentioned on your note guide. The best way to see these is to see them. So I'm going to let you look those up online yourself. I don't have slides for those. And that's it for part 3. So hope you enjoyed it and hope you tune into part 4.